Back here on SportsLine, let's get to head coach Mike Vrabel now, talking about the Titans and that challenge moving forward with all the bodies that are banged up, all the bodies that are out, trying to manage this team and the workload over the coming weeks and getting healthy, because obviously the most important football is still ahead of this team, and you want to make sure you have as many guys who are available, one, but also feel good, who feel at their best at that time of the year. And that's going to be a huge, huge challenge for Mike Vrabel and the Titans moving forward.
Mike, 9 games in, 3 games before your bye. Managing the practice week maybe is crucial now as any other time of the year?
Well, I think just trying to be as creative as possible with as many guys that need it, but also, we've got guys that are coming back, off of whether that's designated for return or Deontay and Adrian and guys that, we got to get some work in. But then there's so many other guys that are, working their way through things and battling through just the wear and tear of the regular season. So I think that's the biggest thing, is trying to be creative, trying to find ways to improve, but also ways to take care of guys, and then also, get some other guys some work.
With that challenge, how working on the run game with all these new guys, Peterson, Deontay, that make it part of the additional challenge, trying to get them enough work to get them up to speed with the offense? Yeah,
I think so. It's it's just that time of year. So, we'll see, what it looks like this week, and so, I can't really tell you what that's going to look like, what practice is going to look like today. Just haven't gotten back and, taken inventory. So hopefully we can improve in that area and get those guys some looks in practice.
Was the running back rotation last night more by design or sort of just flying by the seat of your pants and with how the game was going?
I think a little bit just by how the game was going, and we'll see where that goes this week. I thought they all did some things well, and there's some things that they'll have to look at and improve, and obviously we'll have to be able to block better for everybody, and that's all part of it.
How did you think Jayon held up through the full game back?
Yeah, I think okay, we'll see. I'm sure he'll be sore, but for like you said, his first game back, I thought it was okay. I think that could continue to improve, and it was a good place to get him back.
19.5 sacks so far, Mike. Are you guys the case study this year for how a good pass rush can completely revolutionize a defense from what it has been?
Well, I don't, listen, we're halfway through. We're not going to, have any midseason reports or anything. We're just trying to find ways to affect the quarterback each week, figure out, which coverage we're in and how to execute it. And, I think that those guys do a good job of working together when we call games. It can always be better. And then at the end of the day, you gotta beat somebody.
Touched on this a little bit last night, but you said when that rush is working productively as it has been, does that allow you to be a little bit more aggressive at times in the secondary?
Well, I think that's always, when the coverage dictates it. When you're in a vision and break defense, yes. I think when there was maybe one I can remember, I'm sure there were more, but, where the quarterback pumped it and guys went, and then he came back and hit, maybe it was cup over the middle. To me, that is on the pass rush. That's what we're asking, David or whoever to do, is that if he, looks and that front hand comes off, we're going to have to go and trigger, and he was able to progress back through. So, to me, that is on the pass rush. So I think if there's the coverages that would allow us to do that, hopefully. But, when you need to be in the back part of the field, you need to be, taking care of that job too.
It's easy to see guys in the pass rush winning their one-on-one battles, but is there something that you guys, that Shane is doing particularly well to get those guys in positions to succeed, whether that's through stunts, alignments, things like that?
Well, it's all part of it. I think that there's some times where, we're game in and, again, we're in favorable down and distances, you're second and long, and, you're saying, hey, we're going to rush, and if they hand it off, then we're going to have to live with whatever happens, and, that sometimes shows up. But it's them understanding that, what we want to do versus empty hang, or what we want to do versus this look. And so it's always a process. It's always going to be, here's the plan. Here, we're going to implement it. We're going to try to teach it to you. and then they're the ones that have to be able to execute it, quickly and understand which call or which game they want to get to.
Chris Jackson's been kind of pressed into duty. Nice game last week, good game yesterday. What is standing out to you just about?
And he's battling, and I appreciate Chris. I thought he was, has done a nice job for us. Can continue to improve in the slot, but he's done some nice things outside. I thought his ability to come up and tackle, was really good. And just a guy that, has had a good off season for us, and hopefully can continue to bring some stability. He's got some versatility to play inside and outside as well.
How hard is that? He's been playing slot for most of the time this year, then all of a sudden to go outside and play almost.
Well, he's gotten some work. He's gotten plenty of work outside, and he's got good speed down the field, and I think his technique's improved, and so.
You were aggressive early, go for a touchdown on 4th and 1 instead of kicking. Is that based on maybe feel how the game's going, based on maybe, hey, I've got to play, and when you convert like that, how big of a...
Yeah, I think you just try to make sure that, you're being mindful of the situation, the play, scoring opportunities. I just didn't know how many scoring opportunities we were going to get by the way that was going. Really wanted to capitalize on the field position. Love the play, and that's why we decided to do what we did.
The sneak and the touchdown, a pretty good example of how effective Ryan can be as a runner. You're not like you're running zone reads with him all the time or anything, but
nobody here has any problem, especially me, with Ryan with the football in his hand. He's proven that. The ability to scramble and extend plays, or to get downfield and run, or to get us yards on a sneak, or any kind of movement play.
Danico and Jeff, and the way they work off of each other and the production they've had the last few weeks, has that come pretty close to what you were envisioning in the offseason when you brought them in, their growth together?
I'm not going to, I don't think it's been a plan that you're like, oh, this has to happen, or this is what it's going to be. I just think that, they are great. They're great people. They're great teammates, talented players, and they, I think are finding ways to work together. And Danico's really, taken to coaching and done a lot of things that maybe we might have corrected him on 3 weeks ago, that are showing up, and him really. Making those plays. Whether it's matching the quarterback's throwing hand, like Teron mentioned last night, there were times in the beginning of the year that wasn't happening, or he may have put two hands up, or whatever it may have been, and now you're seeing some of those techniques that it's just a correction, and he's really bought into it.
You talk about the improvement further with the entire team. You've spoken a lot about how much you enjoy coaching them and how hard they compete. Is it especially gratifying to see the level of growth from week 1 against Arizona to what you put on the field last night as an entire team?
Yeah, I think that's why we stay here, a lot of hours to try to figure out ways to help our players, individually and then collectively as a team. There's you could look at Kevin Byard's ball production. We have tried to study that, and there's other guys that are doing it. Just Kevin is just really, doing it really well as far as stabbing, through the pocket and not swatting, and all these techniques that we, see the difference between making a play and not making a play. And again, it's the player that goes out and does it. It's just that, as coaches, you're trying to find ways to help them, improve. And when you do that, there's a sense of buy-in from the player that, man, this stuff is working, and it really does help me, which then in turn helps their career, and then it helps the team.
As good as he's been, did Jeffrey Simmons sort of raise the standard for what's expected of him now going forward with that performance?
Oh, Jeff will always raise the standard of expectations. He is such a, just a great guy to be around. He's just, love seeing him every morning. We would miss him if we came to work and he wasn't here one day. Just his attitude, his demeanor, his leadership, and then obviously the production.
Kevin Byard had mentioned how he may not have been supposed to be in that passing lane on that interception, the pick six. Is that something? Like, are you giving these guys more autonomy?
I would say that his responsibility is to have ability to make a play, and then not hurt the defense, and he clearly didn't. You know what I mean? It was like if he felt like he knew where the ball was going, go make a play on the football, and that's never going to be an issue. If we start doing things outside the framework of what we're doing, and it starts to hurt the team or the defense or the offense or whatever phase, then we have to correct things. We have to have a conversation. But we want guys to make as many plays as they can to help the team in any way. So I think that was a great example of it.
Is that more the case this year where they're open to do that than last year?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I know that they play with a lot of confidence, and if they give up a play, there's not a whole lot of panic. We've gotten just a lot more red zone stops when teams have gotten down there. I think that's really just been the biggest thing.
Attention, obviously, to Bayard's turnovers, but how about in coverage? It seems like he's, with or without the interceptions, pretty impressive in that regard as well. Is that accurate?
I mean, usually, we're using him in a number of different ways. So, I would say most of the things that we're asking him to do, he's doing well, and again, he's a leader on this football team, and value his durability, and his production. So, whether that's man coverage on a tight end or, playing, down around the line of scrimmage or playing different positions, that's something that I think he's really grown at and improved at.
You touched a little bit on the run game early, but as far as the way Adrian ran, how you think he did, and I guess with more reps, more practice time, you expect that to just keep improving?
I mean, I hope so. I think that, new system, new terminology, new blockers in front of him, had some good, strong runs, and, probably, a couple cuts in there that he'd like to have back, and I'm sure that there's a couple blocks that we'd like to have back that were better, need to be better. So, all three of those guys played a role, played in the game, made some plays off the top of my head that helped us win. Jeremy did that, catching the ball, some screens, good runs. Deontay had a couple good runs, and then, obviously Adrian was able to help us get in the end zone.
Did you inquire with the league as to why there was no...
I was on a plane. I didn't inquire with the league. I asked you guys to tweet at him. If you didn't, that's your fault. I'm not calling the league. I'm not going to get into this.
Okay, but does it seem odd that there was no official announcement that
the correction?
Correct.
I don't know. Maybe it's happened before. It's never happened personally to me before, right? So I don't know. I don't have anything to go by, right? I don't know what the protocol is when they change something. Do they? Oh yeah, we changed it. Okay, well let somebody else know so that I don't want to be the guy. I'm just trying to follow the rules and say, hey, that's what it is. But no, you'd have to ask what the protocol is when they change a penalty to something else.
Because it kind of opens a broad door for officials, in theory.
I guess, like we changed it. Okay, what'd you change it to, But they do a great job. Like they communicated with me about the one penalty, they came back and corrected it, said that I could take half the distance and put it on the 12.5, and so I appreciate that instead of, moving the kickoff to the 50. And so, we understand the job that they have. I want to be part of the solution. I know how fast the game is. I know how fast it is by standing behind those guys at practice, by being out there on the field, and having been out there, it moves at a fast pace. And some calls are tough, and they all have a job, and they're part of the game. And so, we know that they're just like I make mistakes, the players make mistakes, and the officials are going to make mistakes, and we're going to have to live with it and understand that it's a part of our game, just as coaching and playing is.
You guys are big on 1 week at a time, but when you do have the best record in the conference, is there any temptation to look ahead and start talking about, we can get a bye, we can play at home, that sort of thing?
No, Luke.
As far as turning the page and getting ready for the Saints, as you mentioned, you flew back this morning. Were you able to get everything done? Mm-hmm. On the plane ride, what did maybe the schedule look like in the last 12, 16
Yeah, we watched the game last night. Guys watched the tape, and, no issues, with our players. I'm sure they went out, had dinner, and did whatever they wanted to do to celebrate. Got everybody on the bus. Got to the airport. That was a great process, great trip, great operation from our football ops department. Flew back, landed. We're able to, our video department had laptops for everybody with the Saints stuff on there, and this is a lot of work, and I'm conscious of that and how much work went into being able to give us the Rams game, and then being able to give us the Saints stuff and having that all loaded up onto laptops for us to watch on the way home. So, I appreciate Anthony and everybody in his department as well.
How do you approach it, Mike, with your guys being 7-2 and on top this late in the season? It's uncharted territory for you guys. I just wonder, as a coach, what's your approach with them?
I would probably the same as it was last week and the week before. Like, we got to fix this. This needs to be better. Here's the message. These are the keys. Practice is at 12 in shells, and go coach them. I don't really know any other way to do it.
I just didn't know if they're, in that position, there's a different feeling as far as being the hunted rather than the hunter.
I'm sure it'll be the same each week. I really do. It's not gonna change. I'm gonna go back in here. We're gonna figure out what the message is gonna be for the week. Figure out what the keys are. Meet with Shane and Todd and Auk. Talk about the injury report. See who may be available. It's kind of what we're gonna do.
Dylan has been practicing and playing mostly on a right this year, but with his background at left tackle, was he or could he be consideration at left tackle with?
Yeah, he could be, but just understanding, where the majority of his work has been and his calm and, so, and he continues to improve. It's cool to see him, push the pile and get Adrian into the end zone last night. I know he was excited about that, playing that role of the jumbo tight end. So we'll just keep working with all of them.
A particularly good job jumping in last night, especially given who he was lined up across.
Sure. It's just a huge challenge to play against Aaron Donald, and Brew missed some blocks, and he made some blocks, and he finished and competed, and just like I knew he would.